Greetings and welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Poly Weekly News. I'm your host, David Danto, and can you see anything different? Anything change? I mean, I did kind of get a haircut, but that's not it. I'm not wearing a headset for one time. I wanted to play with my brand new HyperX Solocast microphone that I'm
Sounds good. Yeah.
keeping on my desk here. Just this is not the best one we make. It's actually the entry level one, but I wanted to give it a shot and see what it would sound like. I'll probably always be wearing the headset, but I wanted to at least experiment with this and try it. I've used it for a couple of webcasts today. It's actually pretty interesting. And as you heard, as he spoke up, my guest this week is my friend Joe Dalecki. Say hi to everybody, Joe. Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
How you doing? Good to see everyone. My name is Joe Dalecki. I'm the Microsoft Solution Architect here at Poly HP. I've been here a number of years and focused on the Microsoft ecosystem and specifically Teams rooms and Teams devices.
So if we're having you on, we must be having a Microsoft conversation. But before we get into the 1 month preview of Microsoft Ignite, which is why I wanted to chat with you today, I wanted to find out what your thoughts were of the new Surround 80 and 85s, which I think are still the only Microsoft Open Office certified boomless headsets on the market, right?
They are, yeah, the first and only. So these are my Surround 80s here, and you can see I've got them here right on my desk, ready to go, and I keep them charged. And if I ever need to hop on a call or hop in the car, they're great for on the go, great for around the house, especially if my toddler is banging on the door behind me. Yeah, fantastic device. Yeah.
And as Tony I showed on last week's show, we now have the Surround 85s, which are essentially identical to the Surround 80, but they now have an NFC wireless charging stand. So you just
Yeah,
kind of put it on your stand and it stays charged and grab it whenever you need to do it. And that's what I wasn't sure of. That's why I was checking with you on from
that's
our
the big
conversation
difference.
last
Yeah.
week. No, the idea that there still aren't any competitors
Yeah.
to a boomless Microsoft Open Office certified headset. Those are still the only one now, two on the market, right?
Correct. Those are the only ones, and definitely a very important certification to have when working in close quarters and being around a lot of noise and other people. So,
Yeah, it's the sound pickups we have on the Poly devices and the HyperX devices that I'm using right now. It's really awesome. They're head and shoulders above a lot of what the other people are using. And there's so many different types. I mean, this is the first time, like I've always out of high school, I don't really care about the bands on my head anymore. But there are people who like the big heavy ones and then the light ones, and then the 360s, in-ear earbuds and around the
yeah,
neck. And there's so many other different types that you always can
yeah.
find the one that you like.
I've always been partial to the over-the-ear noise cancellation type headsets. They're just more comfortable for me, but it's personal preference all around. Yeah.
Yeah, I would always tell that joke that whenever I would speak to a bunch of our customers and say, "What's our best headset?" I'd have to duck under the table because they'd start fighting with each other, and you just can't win. But I don't think the Surround 80 and the Surround 85 is the only reason that Microsoft is holding Ignite next week. And I keep checking the left because I don't want to say Inspire accidentally. I keep looking at the word Ignite. So I would assume that that's correct. That Ignite has got a lot of other big stories coming out this year.
Definitely a lot of big discussions and information coming out from Microsoft this year. Obviously, some big announcements, and we're not alone in the AI world here. There's definitely going to be a lot of conversations around AI for sure.
Yeah, so right about I guess 2 weeks before the conference kicks off is when CoPilot is going GA. Is that correct?
Yeah, beginning of November is when their Copilot goes GA. It's been in early access for a few months here with some big companies doing a lot of testing and use case and workflow testing with Copilot. And apparently, that's been going really well. And so it's all going GA here in November.
And I'm sure that AI is going to be the number one topic at the conversation. Wherever it's poking out from its various functions in Microsoft, that's probably going to
It's
be
in
the
just
lead
about.
story.
Yeah, if you look at the session list for Ignite, and AI is included in just about every single session. It ties into everything that Microsoft is doing and everything that the business unit is doing, from how it spokes out to and touches just about everything that we're doing. Yeah.
What are the other big stories that are going to come out of that, or the related stories to AI?
Yeah, I think it's just going to be a lot of focus around how people are going to use AI in various types of roles. I think it's going to probably impact most people, most roles are going to touch AI in some way. Probably more so as the further down you go in the organizational chart, where a lot of the content creators go, and a lot of the writers go. You're going to see a lot of coders and programmers starting to leverage AI. So really, the further down I think you work in the organizational chart is where you're going to see the most bang for your buck when it comes to AI and Copilot. And then as you start to move up and look at some more of the executive roles, you're not going to really touch the AI as much, but you're going to be impacted by the productivity that your teams are getting from Copilot and other areas. So yeah.
Did you by any chance catch Jeffrey Hinton on 60 Minutes a couple of weeks ago, where he was talking about
I did
you know
not.
the father of AI, talking about how he believes that it actually really is intelligent and thinking, and we're in danger of
I've
it taking
been
over the world?
I've been following a lot of people, uh, certainly the Godfathers and the founders and the critical thinkers and the leaders in the AI world. There is just so much unknown right now, and if you really just step back and look at it, the potential and the possibilities are really endless. So we just don't know where this could go from here. It's so powerful. The technology is light years beyond kind of where we've been from an AI standpoint, and just the large language models' ability to process and think and return information like a human is very new. And there's going to be many ways that we don't even imagine today that we will see it used in the future, in the near future.
A number of people have been asking me, what are the applications specifically in AI around unified communications? A lot of that is around summary communication,
Yeah,
and speed to understanding what the gist of something is, where AI will be able to provide a help. I had a number of conversations the last couple of days. One of the people pointed out that he felt that it would help him compose. Sometimes you're in the middle of writing something and you're stuck, and you're not really sure where to go next, and having that
exactly. Yeah.
available
So
really,
the
you know.
one of the biggest, I think, impulses for Copilot and generative AI is going to be to help that writer's block, right? That blank page, you're staring at a blank page for a half an hour, don't know where to start. It gives you that initial boost of how to get something started and gives you the content to move you forward and get you over that initial hump. And that's really where I think you're going to see from image generation and video generation. We're seeing now real time video generation. You can create your own persona of yourself and train it in your own behavior and your own speech. And then it can go and you can prompt it and it can basically be you on video in real time. So, like I said, I think we're really only scratching the surface when it comes to some of the possibilities. To your point about Copilot and meeting recap, those are going to be built into Teams functionality and really core to how we leverage Copilot in and after meetings. Some of the thoughts that I was tossing around with a friend of mine that works at Microsoft. You're going to be able to attend less meetings, but I think you're going to see invitations and following more meetings. That whole FOMO, fear of missing out of a meeting, that will become something that Copilot can help you with, because you're going to be able to get meeting recaps and attend less meetings, but you're going to be invited and want to be invited to more meetings. So you may end up double, triple booked more often, but only attending, meetings here and there, but then getting the recap, right? And if it was relevant to you and your role, then you can get the recap and find out what happened in that meeting.
Or at
Uh,
some point in the future, perhaps even just send your avatar to attend the meeting in your stead and have it get to see
exactly.
you
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. So you can find out what you said in the meeting, uh,
Well,
as
heard
well.
anyway, if not said. And I was having this conversation with our buddy Jimmy Vaughn a couple of months ago, where we were talking about, one feature that would pay for itself is if you could actually communicate with Excel and have it produce the chart you're thinking of.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
always
know how
been
to do this, but I know
right.
I kind of want to see something like this.
I
And
want to
it'll
see
take
this
your
on the
data.
left and see this on
Yeah.
the right and see these
uh,
colors showing up. And man, if it
Yeah.
could do that, that would be worth the money right off the
Yeah,
bat.
it's Excel, it's PowerPoint, it's Outlook emails. You basically just say, I want to write a persuasive argument for this type of issue, and it will create that type of email for you. You just have to be a really good proofreader at this point. I think everybody's proofreading skills probably need to go through some upgrades, just to be able to go through and fact check and double check and make sure that what you're communicating, what the AI is communicating is true to what you want to say. But yeah, I think we're all going to be much more productive once we learn how to correctly prompt and get the information we want out of it. It's going to be pretty cool.
And that is an AI advantage that inherently Microsoft has because Microsoft is so embedded in much of the other document and office processing that we do, and most companies do. Obviously, there are other alternatives as well, but most
Yeah.
people are using PowerPoint and Word and things like that. And just the ability to tie all of that in with an AI companion is probably a very powerful, persuasive feature.
It is, and it's ways that we don't even think about, or ways that a lot of it has our data has become transparent to us. It's all stored in the cloud, in SharePoint. For most of us, our data is there. It's time consuming for me to go look for all of the relevant data that I may need to create a report or create a presentation, but it's all there, and the AI can access all of it much faster. And so the APIs behind it that are going to be able to reach out and search all of that data is going to create a much faster generation of content and information that we can just use very quickly, and will save us a lot of time in the initial start of work, right? We'll be able to just jump to the productive part of getting something done and hit the ground running.
So, what are you hearing from our customers? Are they anticipating this? Are they looking forward to it? Are they afraid of it? What kind of comments are you coming across?
Yeah, it's definitely mixed. I think most customers that I'm talking to are excited, not just about CoPilot, but about AI in general. At least the customers I've been talking to, simply because in the meeting we're going to be able to leverage AI to do a lot of things, like just tracking people's faces and understanding who's in the meeting. But then when you think about the AI itself and some of the concerns that may come about, I think we have to balance some of the productivity that we'll see with some of the concerns for privacy and security, that will obviously need to be addressed. And certain regions of the world certainly address that very differently, right? So we need to consider US privacy versus EU privacy, and how does that data interact, and where do we see that sort of come about when we talk about AI? So yeah, there's a lot of still questions that I think customers are concerned about, rightfully so, and asking all the right questions. And I think the AI companies themselves, even OpenAI is and Microsoft are calling for the right level of regulations around data security and privacy, and that's obviously paramount for a lot of organizations that I talk to. So it's not going to be day one, November 1st, everybody's jumping in and using AI every day, all day. There's going to be a learning curve here. And I think you're going to see over the next few years really start to take shape. And I think it's going to look very different than it does on November 1st, as we start to figure that out. I think in the early access program, for one, with CoPilot, a lot of organizations did not just give CoPilot to everyone. It was a rolling basis, sort of test and trial process to sort of figure out where the biggest return on investment would be. Because, like I said, certain roles are going to really benefit the most. And so there's a cost associated with enabling CoPilot and AI. And so that cost needs to be justified. And so I think you'll see some workflow testing and utilization testing to see where do we really get the most bang for our buck when it comes to enabling it. So,
and I read a couple of articles that another reason for the gradual rollout is because it's very power intensive. and compute intensive. I've been reading that, there may be cases where we may be using their own little nuclear power supplies to keep
Yeah.
data centers cooled, and a lot of other things going on. So we're still kind of dipping our toes in that water as well.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you have to think about, where does the model live, right? Does the model live in the cloud? Well, it's in the cloud, but it's still in a data center somewhere. Maybe under the ocean in a data center, but it's there. And how many of those data centers do we have? And what is the power requirement to run at scale, to process all of these requests? And then you start thinking about, well, distributed large language models and models that are smaller and more mobile that we can take with us in our devices, our mobile devices, our laptops, and things like that, where we want to have access to those tools. So HP is obviously focused on building laptops with AI capabilities built in, so that I don't need to worry about maybe my connection necessarily, but I've got some capabilities right there at my fingertips. And so, obviously Microsoft is doing a lot on their side. HP is doing a lot to bring AI to the masses at the consumer level for personal devices as well.
Personal devices, infrastructure management devices, programming devices. There's a lot of learning that we need to do, both from an infrastructure standpoint and from a technical standpoint and from an operational standpoint and from an ethical standpoint. As you point out, we're going to be taking these slow steps moving forward, and it'll probably be discussed first at this event at Ignite. Again, I'm still checking to make sure that I don't get it confused. Why don't you give me a little bit of the logistics of the event? I know it's happening mid-November in Seattle,
Yeah,
mostly
mid-November.
online, right?
Mid-November, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. There's hundreds of sessions, and most of them are going to be recorded, so you can go back and watch them later. It's free registration, so you can go check that out. Obviously, since the pandemic, a lot of conferences have started to adopt the model of virtual. And so, in-person attendees are going to be somewhat limited, but I'm sure there will certainly be a full audience there. And then you'll be able to catch all the streams live on the Ignite website too. So you can register and bookmark your favorites and check them out.
Terrific. Joe, thank you very much for joining us and filling us in on all that. If somebody wants to reach out to you and ask you any questions about our Microsoft practice or what you do, how would you suggest they reach out to you?
Yeah, as always, LinkedIn is typically the best. You can follow me there and get updates from me. And if you need any help, message me on LinkedIn.
Terrific, Joe. Thank you very much. I appreciate you spending the time with us, and I appreciate you spending the time with us every week to keep an eye on what we're doing here at HP and Poly. For all of my colleagues at HP and Poly, I'm David Danto. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week.